Welcome, guys. If you've been thinking about going to Qatar alone as a lady or with a friend or a group of friends, then this is the video for you. I just came back from Qatar yesterday. I went as a solo female traveler. I did meet up with a friend later on and came back together with her. But I did spend quite a bit of time alone, and I want to share my experience with you and also tell you about all the wonderful things that you can do in Qatar. Now, Qatar is an incredible country with so much to offer. But being a solo traveler, you're always worried about, is the country safe? Now, let's start at the beginning. I flew with Qatar Airways, and if you get a chance, I highly recommend Qatar Airways because it is one of the best airlines in the world, and it truly does live up to its reputation. If you can swing it, go on business class because it really has so much to offer. The seats are amazing, super comfortable, and the food is amazing. Now, you will probably see that in Qatar, drinking is not allowed and it's not legal except in the hotels and in the resorts, but it is allowed on the plane. Now, I had some famous singer sitting next to me. I'm not sure who he was, but I know everyone was all over him, and they discreetly asked him, "Do you drink alcohol, sir?" Whereas with me, the white Caucasian lady, everyone was, "Would you like some champagne, ma'am? What kind of wine would you like, ma'am?" Like, I'm sorry, I don't drink. "What do you mean you don't drink?" Like, they were shocked. They've never seen, they just expect white women to be luscious. So that was very shocking to them. But the plane experience was really nice, super nice. Landing in a crazy sandstorm was not so much fun and very unexpected and a bit rough. But when I arrived after midnight. So what I did was I booked a meet and greet through the airline. And this lady was actually two ladies were waiting for me right at the plane. And they kind of whisked me through everything. They got me into the VIP lounge, got me to sit down, enjoy myself while they went to retrieve my bags. And then the customs officer, the immigration officer, came directly into the VIP lounge. So I didn't have to queue. And at midnight that night, there were like a million planes landing and there were queues everywhere. So arriving late at night, not knowing where to go, not knowing how long it's going to take, and to go by myself, this was such a nice option to have. It cost about 90 euros, but it just made the transition so smooth. And I was in and out of there in like half an hour. I booked also a car through the hotel because I wasn't sure about taking a taxi or an Uber. I booked a car with the hotel. It cost about 100 euros. We just kind of he whisked me off and we went to the hotel, arrived quite late, but the check-in was very smooth. And I stayed at the St. Regis Hotel, St. Regis Doha, and it's a very, very impressive, beautiful hotel. Just huge and grandiose and incredible. I had a really beautiful room. So the trip was starting off definitely on a really good note. I didn't get any funny looks about checking in by myself or from the valet parkers or anybody. It was a very normal process. And the next day, I don't know if you guys remember in April, the really bad storms they had in Dubai. Well, that storm was also heading for Doha. So everyone was prepping. They were like locking everything down. The schools were closed. They were closing the malls. Everyone was panicking. So even though I started my day in the Bellagio Mall, which is beautiful, not to be missed, I had to cut my visit short, get back to the hotel, and wait to see what's going to happen with the weather because everyone was completely in a state of panic. Now, in these countries, because it rarely ever rains, there is no drainage system at all. So what happens when it rains, everything floods. The roofs will flood, the garages will flood, the cars will get destroyed, the streets, the underpasses, everything is a total mess. So everyone was panicking. So that day kind of was uneventful. Nothing really happened. I did go down into the hotel. I had a nice Caesar salad. Nobody looked at me strangely for being there or eating alone. I found it really interesting that you can still smoke inside places in Qatar, which doesn't happen in most countries now. It was kind of refreshing to see, even though I don't smoke, I'm all for letting other people do whatever they want. And like I said, there's no drinking outside the hotel, but you can drink inside the hotel. The service is super attentive, almost too attentive. Like I got asked about 8 times if my Caesar salad was good and if I was happy. And it was the same with the plane. I'm trying to watch my movie. I've got my headphones on and they were coming like every 5 minutes. "Are you okay, ma'am? Can we get you anything? Are you happy?" So, you pause the movie, you take it. "Yes, I'm happy. Thank you." And then you put it back on. So the service was almost too much, but definitely a lot more than what I'm used to. Now, sticking with the malls a little bit. Now, Doha is famous for shopping. Well, the FIFA, obviously, and there was a lot of construction, a lot of buildings were made specifically for the FIFA, also the whole metro system, which is also incredible. So, but shopping and food are the two basic things that you think about when you think of Doha. So let's talk about shopping. So the Bellagio Mall, beautiful. It's like Venice. It's like the Bellagio Mall in Las Vegas, and with the little canals and the boats and everything, and really nice shops and pastry shops everywhere. Is really, really beautiful. Now, my other favorite mall was the Van Dome Mall. This is this grandiose, huge palace with like a little courtyard, and there's little buildings and little shops outside as well. A magical fountain with music, with everything, all the brands you can imagine, beautiful shops, beautiful restaurants, huge spaces. It was just absolutely incredible. You can easily spend a day there without any issues at all or more. Keep in mind though, guys, that you have to dress modestly, especially in the malls. So while in the resorts, you can wear pretty much whatever you like. They're not going to say anything. When you go into the mall, you need to cover up. So your knees need to be covered, and your shoulders need to be covered, and nothing, no cleavage hanging out or anything like that. You cannot wear a dress like that. So make sure that especially if you're traveling alone, you want to be respectful of the rules and their customs and everything. And you will see that in the malls, it's mostly Qatari women doing their shopping. They've got their maids carrying their little Fendi bags behind them. And it's a really interesting experience. I didn't see a lot of tourists. There were only a few tourists that I saw. Some locals that were, from Western countries, but mostly you will see the locals there and the Qatari, especially in the big expensive malls. Now, for my next day, for Wednesday, I had planned something very special. I planned a photo shoot in the desert. And I booked a photographer, I booked a makeup artist, Jenny, she was amazing. And they drove me out into the desert, and I wanted to do a photo shoot with that long, big red flying dress. I'm sure you guys have seen that on Instagram. And that has been one of my dreams for a long time. So, even though I'm 54, okay, you can't just have photo shoots for young girls, right? It could be for anybody. And we had a really fun time doing the photo shoot, driving out into the desert. It was really, really cool. Of course, photo shoots are not the only things you can do in the desert. You can book dune rides, which can be a little bit crazy. I did that in Dubai. I wasn't ready to do that again. You can go out camping into the desert. You can book dinners, camel rides. There's an inland sea that is supposed to be spectacular. Sadly, I didn't get to see that. But when my girlfriend did arrive a few days later, we booked a kayaking trip, a sunset kayaking trip through the mangroves. So we hired a private guide who drove us from the hotel into the desert, and we spent 2 hours kayaking in the mangroves, watching the beautiful sunset over the desert, and it was absolutely spectacular. So if you guys get a chance, you definitely want to do that. And the cool thing is you can bring all your valuables with you. We had our passports, our money, everything, and you just leave it in the car, and no one's going to touch anything. So it's so safe there, guys, that people actually leave their keys in the car turned on. Like, for example, with the photographer, afterwards, we stopped at a gas station. We went to use the bathrooms. They went to get some sandwiches. And when I get back in the car, this is in the middle of nowhere, at a gas station, the car is on, the keys are in the car, all our bags, our money, everything's left in the car. And it's completely safe. Nobody will touch it. I mean, how many places in the world can you do that? So that to me was really cool. Even in the hotel, I didn't even use the safe. I just left all my stuff there, and nobody will touch anything. Now, the government has cameras everywhere. Every lamppost is covered in cameras. They're watching everything. And also, when you enter the country, they take your retina scan, and they also take your fingerprint. So they will find you in a second. If somebody does something wrong, they're going to find you. And the people that live there, they know this. And everything is so sterile and so clean that you don't even see like even a cigarette butt on the floor anywhere. There's no seagull poop. There's nothing. It's spotless. You could eat off the floors anywhere. Some fun things that you can do in the evening is, for example, we visited the souk, which is a very different experience if you've been to other Arabic countries. We've been to Tunisia, Egypt, Morocco, and the souks are usually not very clean and not very safe. Well, this is not the case in Doha. It's spotless, clean, new, and completely safe. You feel absolutely safe. There's some nice shops. You can walk around. There's some good restaurants to enjoy. It's a really nice atmosphere, especially in the evening. Now, not far from the souk, you can find this place called the Old Port. The funny thing about the Old Port is that it's brand new. It was built for FIFA 2 years ago, but it's really beautifully done. It's like the buildings are, in the design of these old buildings. So it has that old world charm, but very sterile, very clean. Also some beautiful shops and some nice ice cream places, pastry shops, and you can walk around there. It's really, really beautiful. And at the end of this starts the Corniche. And from the Corniche is like this long walkway where you can walk for 7 kilometers all along the water. And it's very, very beautiful. And you have people walking there. It's really nice in the evening with all the lights and the dhow boats. We actually decided to take one of the dhow boats. You can take it from there to the end of the other harbor. And we got a dhow boat all to ourselves with my girlfriend. The only funny thing was there was this bridge that you walk over to get onto the boat. And the bridge did not look very stable to me. And this was the only thing that didn't look perfect in Doha. It was very unstable. The sides were falling apart. The bottom was like this cheap plywood. And I was like really genuinely scared to walk on it. And the guys were like, no, don't worry, ma'am. Don't worry. 100% safe, 100% safe. So I made my friend go first and we eased over this bridge and we survived to the other side. But the views that we got from the boat was absolutely amazing and worth every penny. If you wait for other people to join you on the boat, it will be much cheaper. Taking it ourselves cost us about, I don't know, like $35-40 to have the boat all to ourselves for half an hour. So that was actually pretty cool. Now, let's talk about my favorite thing for a moment, the beaches. So at the hotel, we were so lucky because we had the most beautiful beach, beautiful water, sand, and really nice loungers. They would give us like skewers of fruit, and everybody got a cooler with water, with ice in it. There was sunscreen, dispensers, towels, everything. So every morning we would start 7 o'clock on the beach and spend like 2-3 hours there getting a tan. You can tan at 7 a.m. That's how crazy the sun is there. And then swim and then start our day after that. So that was really nice. Now, we also thought about checking out the public beaches, but the public beaches are a wholly different thing. So the first beach that we encountered was only men. That was interesting. The second beach was for families. Now, this beach for families, everybody was covered up completely, and they could rent these little wooden chairs, and everyone was sitting on these wooden chairs. So you could definitely not go there and walk around in a bikini. That would be very strange. I'm not even sure what would happen. So there were these different sections of the beaches. There was one section where they had like these glass huts that you could rent. I'm sure they were air conditioned and everything to keep you nice and cool during the summer. Now, the pools in Doha are actually cooled. Instead of heated, they are cooled in the summer. And even in the hotel, they will dump like buckets, or not buckets, like boatloads of ice to cool the water, because otherwise it's so hot, it becomes like soup. So I can't even imagine summer there because it was already very hot in April. And they say even the patios closed for the restaurants because even at night, you can't sit outside. So that would be really hard for me because I'm an outdoorsy girl. I love being outside. I love walking. And that's just not possible for like 6 months out of the year. Doha, Qatar, it actually feels like this strange utopia. I can't even explain it to you guys. There are no stars. We were out in the desert, in the darkness, and there are no stars. And our guide told us, he's been there 26 years, there are no stars at all. I don't know how. If someone can explain it to me, let me know below. And it's not the light pollution because we were out in the desert in the middle of nowhere. So there are no stars. We didn't see any dogs. We didn't see any animals. We didn't see any lizards. We didn't see any insects. We didn't see any seagulls. We saw the odd birds, but not even bird poop, nothing. There were no flies, no mosquitoes, no bees, no butterflies. It was like you're in a sterile environment under a dome. Everything's brand new. Everything's perfect. It's kind of like, the Truman Show. Like you feel like you're in this closed, protected space that is almost too perfect. I can't describe the feeling to you. It's you have to go and experience it for yourself. So you feel safe, you feel fine, everything is clean, nothing is gross, everything's perfect, but it's almost like it's too perfect. And because it's too perfect, it's almost like it's missing a soul, if that makes sense. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. You need to experience it, but I much prefer Europe. I prefer Spain. I'd rather give up a bit of my safety to have like the authentic environment and the realness and you know, people are like, it's all safe because everyone's kind of kept in fear, right? Because everything's monitored, everything's watched, and everyone's really punished if anyone steps out of line. So while it's an interesting experience, it's also very unique, and it makes you think about how far we would go to experience that kind of utopia. Now, I mentioned how I took a car from the hotel to get to the airport. On the way back, we did not do this because we discovered that Uber is super cheap. Taxis are super cheap. You can find one within 2 minutes and they will take you anywhere. They also have Uber Black, which is like a VIP service. So you get a much nicer car, usually a Lexus, and it still costs you like $5 to $10 to get from one end of the city to the other. So like even a half an hour ride in an Uber will cost you like 10 US dollars or euros. So it's dirt cheap. And on our way back to the airport, we paid maybe 10, $15. So don't book a car. It's not necessary. And on the way back, I didn't actually pay for that VIP greet and meet, and it wasn't necessary as we just breezed through customs like nothing. There was nobody there. It was super quick. So keep that also in mind. Now, as for Uber, here's a little warning for you guys, and we learned this the hard way. This was after a long day of the boat rides, the kayaking, the everything else that we did. We called an Uber to get back to the hotel, and we're waiting there, and this car stops. And we asked him, "Are you Ahmed?" And he says, "Yes, yes." So we get in the car, and he starts driving, and he's like, "Where are we going?" And we're like, "You're supposed to have it on the app." He's like, yeah, but where are we going?" And so we said the St. Regis Hotel, and he's like, "Which one? There's two." So we told him St. Regis Doha, and he's like, "Oh, okay." We're like, "But how do you not know that?" And then we realized he was not our driver. We got in the wrong car. So this guy was driving around trying to pick up people that were waiting for taxis or Ubers. And obviously he saw that we were foreigners right away. And he picked us up, and we didn't check the license plate of the car, and we got in the wrong car. So he's telling us he will take us, but he needs cash. And we're trying to explain to him, we don't have any cash on us. We said, we'll pay you through the Uber app. We'll book another trip. We'll book you through there. Or we said, we don't have any cards. We don't have anything. And he's like, no, cash, give me cash. And we're like, we don't have cash. So because this was like almost midnight and we're in a car with a stranger, we felt quite uneasy, quite at unease. And he stopped in the middle of the road, like a really wide road where there was nothing, and he dropped us off. So we're kind of stuck there, and we can't call another car because the car can't stop there. This is like a 4-lane highway-ish kind of thing. So we ended up having to walk all the way back until we found a hotel where we could actually call another Uber. So that was a little bit scary. That was the only little bit scary thing that happened to us. So be careful. If you're using Uber, always check the license plate, make sure you're getting in the right car. I don't think this guy would have done anything to us. I don't think we were in danger in any way, but it just didn't feel right, if you know what I mean. Other than that, we only had one other issue when we were walking the Corniche. One guy kept making comments, "Hey, beautiful girls," and he was kind of following us and waiting for us and then coming after us and watching us, and we didn't really feel comfortable. There were lots of other people around, so I don't think he was trying to do anything other than maybe try to pick us up. But what we should have done is right away, like pick up our phone and say, "I'm going to call the police," because then apparently he would have been out of there. So, use your judgment, guys, especially if you're traveling alone. I mean, there's no need to be walking out there by yourself alone at night. Do your activities during the day. I would say that if you're with a girlfriend, you're absolutely fine, and really nothing's going to happen. We walked through many parks that were completely dark and deserted, and we felt safe. It was really only those two incidences where we felt a little bit uncomfortable, not in danger, but just a little bit uncomfortable. Now in Qatar, weekend starts on Friday. So Friday and Saturday is their weekend, and Sunday is a normal working day. I did not know this. And the interesting thing is things were very quiet and very low key until Friday and Saturday. And then things get really busy. Everything's packed. There's, long queues everywhere. The hotels get packed. The malls are packed. The beaches are packed. Everything's really busy. So if you're looking for a more relaxing time, then, stay away from Friday and Saturday unless you like that. Then that's definitely the time to go. The sunsets and sunrises in Qatar are out of this world. You want to catch as many of them as you possibly can. The last night we spent in the Raffles Hotel on the 36th floor. There's a beautiful bar there. You can order your drinks and then go one more floor up where there's an open terrace and you get a 360-degree view of Doha, which is absolutely amazing. And the sun, guys, it's like this, it doesn't even look like our normal sun from other countries. It looks like a completely different sun. It's huge, it's red, it's beautiful. So make sure you don't miss those sunsets. Those are really, really cool. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about my second favorite thing after the beaches, which is food. And food in Qatar is incredible. Every restaurant we went to is amazing. We went to this beautiful Arabic restaurant where they just filled the whole table with all the different dips and meats and breads and everything. It was incredible, beautiful view. We went to another restaurant that was over the sea. It was built on the sea. Incredible views as well. But the highlights for me were the brunches. So they have brunches on Fridays, and some places also have them on Saturdays. So on Friday, we went to the brunch in our hotel, which was half price for people staying at the hotel. So I think it would cost us like 25, 30 bucks a head. But it was the most lavish buffet that I've ever seen in my life. So they had Indian, Japanese, Asian, Mexican, Arabic food. There was everything that you can imagine. Barbecue meats. The selection of desserts was just endless. Also, all the drinks and the champagne, cocktails, anything you can imagine. And I mean, you can just eat until you drop. There was beautiful music playing, saxophone music playing, live bands, beautiful atmosphere. Absolutely loved it. In fact, the next day we went looking for a brunch again. We ended up at the Ritz-Carlton, which was more down to earth. It was like a farmer's brunch, they called it, something like that. And it was super nice, different flavors, different foods, but again, endless choices and just such a nice experience with the music, sitting outside and just enjoying the whole environment, taking your time to savor and try all these different flavors. Doha is the place to eat, guys. I mean, if you do nothing else and you go for 2 or 3 days, eat and shop, you'll be so happy. I can guarantee you that. So just to wrap everything up, guys, Doha is a super safe place. They say it's one of the safest countries in the world. And I have to agree with that. I've been to over 70 countries and I've never felt so safe as I have there. Maybe Singapore also. But I never felt threatened. I never felt like people were looking at us strangely. We didn't get any comments or anything like that. You know, like a couple of nice comments, but nothing that would make you feel scared or threatened. We were not bothered. You know, there's no people living on the streets. There are no people begging for anything. So you feel really, really safe. So I think if you're a woman and you're thinking about going to Doha by yourself, by all means do it. If you have a girlfriend to join you, even better. But there's so much to do. And I would love to go back for another time because I feel like I still need to experience Banana Island, which is built like the Maldives with the little huts over the water. And you can go there and get a day pass. I want to see the inland sea. So there's still a few more things on my bucket list that I would love to do next time. But I basically squeezed so many things into this 1 week. And I feel like I really got a good feeling for, you know, what's out there. The museums, guys, there's some great museums to be had. I miss those as well. You probably need like a whole day for each of those. But, you know, whether it's cultural things or beaches or adventures into the desert, the opportunities are truly, truly endless. If you guys have any questions about my adventures to Qatar and to Doha, then please feel free to ask me below. And if you have anything to add as to all the things that I've been talking about, then do drop a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video.